A question on my YouTube members community page, and it was kind of someone asked about my thoughts on being like stuck in a rut. And myself personally, I think I have some thoughts on this, but I don't necessarily think that I've caught myself stuck in a rut in that kind of mindset for too long. So I kind of wanted to share my opinions on this, and hopefully maybe help one or two of you if you're interested in this at all. But I'm going to do some playing in the intro here, and then we'll move on. This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. What is this kind of rut mindset type stuff? So I think personally that the idea of being stuck in a rut comes from a place of like over analyzing where you're at right now, or overthinking it, all kind of a mental state of whatever is happening right now in your playing. It's less about actually what you're playing is really like. When I think about some like times when I've kind of just been like looking at my playing and thinking, oh, that sucks, it wasn't necessarily much different. Like if I look back at my playing day to day, it nothing really changes that much. It's like consistently sounds however I'm going to sound, right? And I think that's kind of one of my biggest points on this really is that you might be overthinking stuff a little bit. And so when you think about being stuck in a rut, I think a dissonance between your long-term goal and your short-term reality or something like that, I don't know, might be a way to put it. So where you have this long-term goal of, or maybe even like a goal that's maybe not realistic, where it's like, I want to sound like Jack Gardner or Pierre Donnell or Guthrie Govan or whatever, and your short-term scenario is that you basically don't sound like those players that you love to sound like. And I think that's a real thing for a lot of us. And I think so maybe this is kind of goes hand in hand with that like rut-based thinking, is that you're comparing your playing to someone else's playing. And it might even be that you don't have a really very realistic idea of A, how you sound, and B, how they really sound. Because if you're just watching their playing on social media and stuff like that, it's kind of like a highlight reel, of all the times that some of these guys have scored, like Matthias Sasato and stuff like that. And it's probably not necessarily giving you like a total accurate portrayal of what it might be like to just be a normal guitar player. I try to keep those kind of comparison thoughts out of my head too much, because I think we can at the same time overestimate our own skills and underestimate them as well at the same time, and overestimate our where we think we should be, and underestimate like how long it takes to actually get better at stuff, noticeably better and stuff. And I think if you zoom out a bit, maybe it would be kind of like the first kind of thing, like, well, let's look at what my playing was like maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago. If you can, zoom out a bit larger, and then this idea of like your rut from day to day kind of starts to dissolve, because we actually then realize that progress happens very slowly over a long amount of time. And I think this is really the key to this kind of rut-based thinking, is that if you get into this more negative kind of mindset, I think you might be at risk of not being locked into the mundanity and the everydayness of making actual progress on guitar, right? The reason that I got more comfortable with improvising, and I think I continue to get more comfortable with it and make steady but subtle improvements like over the years, I think is because I'm not thinking about this stuff very much, and I'm not clever enough to think about this too much, and that I'm not putting those blockers in the way, because basically every single day I'll sit down and I'll play some guitar for an amount of time. I think there is some amount of wisdom in that, maybe, I don't know, but that's the idea really, that you want it to, those people that get really, really, really good are the people that are enjoying the thing every single day, not necessarily every single day, but you get what I mean, like consistently, and also picking it up consistently. And those two things go hand in hand. Right? I had these kind of conversations with some players before where they seem to be telling me things that didn't really tally up with my own experience, where it's like, oh, I've been practicing like this alternate picking or this legato thing for years and years and years and years, and following what everyone said, but I never seem to get faster or anything like that. And in that case, like, I think to myself, like, if there are things that I cannot really do or don't really sound convincing, maybe you're just kind of butting against a wall that doesn't need to be knocked down, right? I think about, so if I was like really concerned about like deficiency in my sweep picking skills or whatever, maybe it is that you're thinking that you're spending more time on this stuff that maybe you don't really need to. And I think for myself, when I start getting a bit of a negative mindset around my playing, I try to do something which I know I'm a bit better at than things that I'm not good at, and try and soak up some enjoyment and confidence in that, rather than getting into the kind of I'm not really where I want to be kind of state. And this also works with playing live as well. Negative mindset when playing live can be a real thing. So like, instead of, this used to be the thing for me especially, like I would super hone in on like the mistakes that I'm making, or like things that didn't sound exactly like I wanted them to. And I think you can tell when someone's in that kind of space versus just enjoying like playing with your mates or whatever, and taking a few risks and seeing what you can play and seeing what comes out. Definitely I can see, like, there's a clip of me playing with Jake, playing Mick Taylor's TS1 and my Strat, and I like look back at the solo I took there, and it just feels like very safe and very like I wasn't taking risks. Whereas I look at another video which came up more recently where I'm playing, and it's like, well, that sounds like I'm being a bit more playful, just having a good time with some mates. And I think that you can hear that sort of in the playing. And some of my favourite players, I think the sense that I get is that they just really enjoy playing guitar. If you think of like Andy Timmons, when you watch him playing, Eddie Van Halen, for instance, I think there's a real playfulness to some of what he did, or all of it maybe. And yeah, so I think that's a thing to try and remember. So if you're thinking like, I'm stuck in this rut or whatever, are you, when you look at your playing now versus where it was 5 or 10 years ago, do you think you've made some improvements? And what can you actually do to change this? I think refocus back on the things that you're actually good at, and that can be a real thing. Or you maybe focus occasionally on the things that you really need to improve, but don't spend all your time thinking about, like what you wish you played like. Don't spend all your time thinking about what piece of gear might change things. Kind of just gently get back into the stuff that you're good at. Maybe exercises that you used to do as a kid, or things like, for me, like John Petrucci's Rock Discipline might be a good place to to look at some stuff because that was a thing I would do back in the day, or exercises that you had a real passion for doing or that you executed well, return to those and see, can you still do those, or do you find those easier? Like sometimes for me now, I find learning licks a bit easier than I used to, I'm pretty sure. But maybe that's because I'm just learning different types of licks. I guess also TrueFire might be a good thing if you're feeling like in this rut kind of place and listening to other kind of guitar players talk about the things that they're passionate about. I think of Tim Miller specifically. He's got this creative arpeggio design course on TrueFire, and it's like something that's so personal to him. And you think about things like that where someone is kind of giving their approach to something. And seeing what you can take from that, I think, is a really good thing. If you're into the TrueFire stuff, there is a code JNC40 to get 40% off any individual course, or you could use the code JNC100 to get $100 off of their all-access membership. And with that, you could dip in and out of all of their kind of courses from folks like Larry Carlton, Robin Ford, Tommy Emmanuel, loads of amazing players on there. But that might be a good idea as well. And also, I think, check out live playing of some of your favourite players, because I don't think they're all perfect all the time. And I think that can help us to kind of get grounded back in reality, where sometimes, like the social media thing, like you think, well, everything is so perfect. If you watch some of your favourite players live, you get a little bit more of a sense, like check out some Eric Johnson's live playing. In some ways, I think it can give us a bit more of a realistic goal of what might be achievable, or check out John Petrucci playing with Dream Theater and kind of just listen, not to like bring those people down, but to kind of think about, right, well, what is actually attainable then? And I think that can be a really helpful thing too. But in terms of actual rut busting exercises or anything like that, I think the rut is just in your mindset at the minute, and it's what you're kind of thinking about, and it's maybe not actually as real as you think it is. If you forget about it and just start enjoying playing guitar again, I think you find some of these ruts may disappear. I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you've got great rut busting advice, please drop it into the comments below for folks. Kind of just my opinion on some of it. And for me, yeah, I don't slow down enough to kind of get stuck in a rut, keep the wheels turning. And even if it is a slow pace, you'll probably find that over time, you're making progress in the right kind of direction. Just keep the wheels turning a little bit. You don't need to do this massive boom and bust like, right, I need to do 7 hours a day and then, oh, I'm actually sick of guitar now. Just pick it up a little bit each day if you can. Keep it fun. Keep the wheels turning a little bit, and maybe the ruts don't appear so much. But let me know your thoughts. Cheers.